All right, hello, YouTubers. Evan here with I guess it's a gear review. It's a little bit of a talk about lighting. As you can see my dramatic setup here. I'm in my garage. Lighting's been on my mind a lot lately. We are planning a short film to shoot in December. And one of my kind of key goals, I guess, is to really focus on lighting. As you do when you do something for a long time, you kind of focus on different things from time to time. When we first started out, I was very much into special effects. Some of the first stuff we did was like learning how to do lightsabers and things like that. And we started kind of getting into writing. About the same time, I started focusing on photography and cameras, kind of late 2000s. Around when we made Getting Outer Space was kind of when I was first learning how cameras and lenses worked and apertures and stuff, because we had just gotten a Canon 7D to shoot that on. My approach has always been to kind of be light on my feet and be able to shoot efficiently and quickly. So I try to use natural light when possible versus a more studio approach where it's like, all right, we got every light imaginable, so let's put 2 lights over here, 2 lights over here, something back there. So, you got, before you know it, you got like 8 or 10 lights, and you don't really necessarily always need that. And the more lights you get around you like this, the more you have to fine tune. And it's like if you're going to put the effort into putting up more than one light, then you really want to kind of put the effort into making it perfect. And that last 10 or 20% that makes it perfection can really take a lot of extra time and energy. This light, this giant ring light above me, was something I just recently built, and I'll talk about in a minute. But let me switch to a different lens real quick. The first lights I bought were in 2009. A company called Cool Lights, and I'll actually show them to you right now. These are them. I'm in my garage, so all my gear's out here. There are these little Fresnels. This is the 75 watt, and then there's a 150 watt, which is basically twice the power. This is some little like offshoot company. I think they're like kind of Chinese made. They're relatively cheap, wasn't the number one factor. The second factor was that they were low powered. They're not LED. I actually don't know what they are. I couldn't tell you. I just remember the website was coollights.biz. It was like the only .biz website I've ever been to. It might still be around. But I bought those 2 lights, and then they also had these softbox at the time, which were 2 of these bulbs, and they had a softbox went around them. I bought these to make Getting Outer Space with back in 2009. So those are my 4 lights. I had 2 of these and these 2 Fresnels. But anyway, that was kind of my first light setup. And then around 2012, LEDs started peeking through, but they weren't quite mainstream yet. But at the time, I decided I wanted a little LED, some small battery-powered LEDs that I could easily carry around. And I found these ikan. I don't know if you can see that too well. ikan's a pretty dominant company now. You can find a lot of their stuff around now. This is like a, does it say on here? No. But I bought this in like 2012 probably. And then a smaller version of the same thing. Got a gel. And these were great at the time. They're powered by Sony batteries, which these are the same. These batteries are so great. They hold their charge really well. They last a long time. I've got a bunch of them. Each one takes 2 of them. I think they still sell panels that use these. But these were pretty cool at the time because they're dimmable, and they have they're bicolor. You can do the temperature change, which again is pretty standard fare today. But these were kind of, when I had these, I didn't see a lot of other people with these at the time. And to speak towards the durability, I think one of the knobs on here doesn't quite turn that well anymore, but they still mostly work, and we've used them for a lot of things over 6 years. But that was my first introduction to the company ikan. I think these are probably some of their first LED lights. Now I know that the color, the CRI color quality is not that great. They're a little greenish when I compare them to these new lights I have. But they got the job done, and we lit a lot of shit over the years with these. So yeah, I'm gonna take this guy down. Now, how often 10 years ago could you just take a light off the thing it's still on. It's not hot or anything. And take it off and put it in your lap. This is an ikan Stryder, what is it? Yeah, Stryder SB200. So this is a ikan Fresnel. I just got this like 2 weeks ago. We've used it on a couple client shoots already. It's a really cool light. I'm not sure technically what the full output of it is. As you can see on the back, there's a little screen with a knob. You can dim it, adjust the color temperature. There's a strobe mode. It's got these nice little metal handles on the back, so you can grab it and, you know, angle it and lock it off over here. It's got this nice good handle on the top. It is plastic, but it's kind of it's that hard kind of pelican case plastic. So it's a nice durable plastic, it feels like. The front lens feels a little flimsier than everything else. But definitely, I mean, compared to these guys, if I can take care of these well enough to have them last, it's certainly better build quality than those. So there's a little latch here, and this whole lens comes off, which makes it more of a floodlight. So this lens basically focuses it, and then it's got the barn doors attached to it. So if you want more of a flood, you just snap that off. There's just a little release button, and then it just slides and snaps in place. And then I think just rotating this is just a way to adjust the beam. But this is a cool light. I think it was, now I'm doing a terrible review. I don't even remember what it, I want to say this was like around $800 or $1,000. I don't know why I can't remember that off the top of my head right now. But a cheaper end for what it is, power-wise and function-wise. But my favorite part, there's a little switch on the bud, let's see. So my favorite part, again, you probably shouldn't hold a light while doing it, but if you can see that is my V-Lock battery on the bottom here. So, as you can see, there's a V-Lock plate, and it comes with an interchangeable gold mount plate if you want to use gold mount. I got this giant battery on here, which I just use these big guys because they're cheaper ones for lights. Don't use them on my camera. But I could put my camera V-Locks on here as well. So this, I haven't tried it yet, but this is a 190 watt hour V-Lock battery, so that's a huge battery. I imagine it'll power this thing for several hours, more than I would need for most things. But I like that it's on the bottom. I mean, not that you should really probably rest stuff on a battery. I've already done a shoot where I've like set this on the floor, on a table like this, just on top of the battery. It's kind of nice how that works. It's just a little platform. It's a light enough light that I don't feel bad doing that. And of course, it's got the adjustable yoke for the C-stand. But I like how grippy it is. There's lots of nice handles. Good handle on top, handles on the back. Not that it gets hot or anything, which is why you would want that on another light, but all around it feels like good build quality, good quality of light coming out of it. And it's just a very high powered Fresnel, LED base. Of course you can plug it in too. But basically this puts out more light than any of those cool lights Fresnels I have. And it's portable and battery powered and kind of cool looking too. I like the yellow stripes on it. But anyway, so ikan as a company's come a long way. That's my point with that. This is the same company I bought my first LEDs from, and they're still making them. On the spectrum of things, I think professionally, not a lot of people probably use ikan because it is a cheaper brand. It's not necessarily, you know, high-end light or anything, but a light's a light's a light. It works. So my my other new ikan light, ikan Lyra Softbox, as you can see, all lit up here. Dang it! That's just the screw out of the yoke. Didn't tighten it back up. But this is I bought this to replace those two soft boxes. You know, ideally I'd have a second one, but I haven't gotten there yet. This for sure is like a $1,000-ish light, $1,100 maybe. Again, I should have written this down before I recorded this. But just to give you an idea of the spectrum, these aren't, you know, bottom of the barrel, cheap Chinese, like knockoff lights, but they're also not like high-end lights that you're gonna see on a movie set. But they work great for what we do. So this is a softbox light. I got tired of those old softboxes. The bulbs were really nice, the quality of the light's nice, but putting the boxes together is always a pain in the ass. They're really shitty softboxes. But the barn doors fold, so it goes fairly flat. As you can see, I've got another one of those giant V-mount batteries on the back here. And we got just a master switch. This dial controls the brightness, and then you just tap it once, control the temperature. So it's a bicolor LED, temperature and dimmable. Goes down to 10%. The other one actually goes all the way down to like 1% and then like off on the dimming. So, but again, same brand, different line. I think that's just because of different form factor, because the styling feels similar. The font on the thing is similar. But this is basically the softbox. That's the Fresnel. I've had this for like 6 months, maybe closer to a year, somewhere in there. Use it all the time. This is kind of my main soft light to kind of put up front and give some fill on the faces and the shadows. Nice and adjustable. For a while, I've been doing a lot with this guy and then one of these old LEDs behind to be just a basic 2 lights with like a hair light and a soft box up the front. You know, I don't have much to compare it to. It's a technology shift here. So there's so many pros to these. The light quality's good, high CRI LEDs, and they're battery powered, which is that's everything. So it's like all I have to compare them to is like these cool lights. So again, somebody coming from a professional setting probably be able to find more fault with these. Coming from sort of a DIY setting, always trying to kind of find cheap, practical options. These are great lights, so I would recommend them to anybody with that kind of a budget. You know, can't afford the pro level lights, but these are pretty good. Again, the battery power is huge. You can go out in the woods, you can go, even just go into a client job and not having to worry about running tons and tons of cable. It's pretty great. You just pop the light on, slap battery on, you're ready to go. That's huge. Now I will talk about this thing above my head. This is a weird way to use a ring light or to show a light, but this just seemed like the best way to get in the frame. So I built this light based on a tutorial on Shutterstock or Shutterfly, Shuttershit. It's a 4-foot ring light as apparently laid out by Roger Deakins on his online forum, which I have no reason not to believe that that's not true. I did not go to his forum directly to learn it. I learned it through the Shutterstock thing. But yeah, so this is a 4-foot piece of plywood with a circle cut out of it. So it's basically a 4-foot diameter ring. And then individually, these are just basic like sockets. They're like $1.30 a piece. There's 24 of them around. So it's a 24 light fixture. And then each of these sockets, I have LED bulbs in. The tutorial had traditional incandescent bulbs. But actually, I was surprised when I went to Lowe's that I could not find regular incandescent bulbs anymore there. They seem to have completely switched over to LEDs. So these are 2 boxes of 16 bulbs. So I've got some extras on hand if I break some. But the beauty of using the LED bulbs is it's a lot lower wattage, less of a fire hazard for somebody who is wiring up lights for the first time in his life. More energy efficient and cooler. So when I'm sitting under them like this, I am only sweating because there's no AC in my garage and not because these lights are on me. So yeah, it's a pretty simple thing. You cut the ring out. Again, I'll link to the tutorial. I'm not going to tell you step by step how to make it. The cool thing though, or the big risk for me, I'm going to lower this down. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself here and break something. Alright, this through very well. There we go. Whew. I don't know if you noticed in the first shot, I got like 5 sandbags on the C-stand. So, ring light traditionally, oh shit. I've got this little ball mount on the back, and that's just what's rotating. I guess it doesn't want to lock with all this weight on it. There, that should be better. Traditionally, you use this to light somebody from the front, like this, and shoot the camera through, get a nice kind of soft fill. I was using it overhead, which is also a good way to use it if you had like a conversation over a table or something. In an ideal studio situation, you probably put some black wrap around the edges so you don't bounce off the walls like I was. But what's cool, let me show you the back side of this. What was also the pain in the ass about it, all this wiring. So each of these bulbs has about maybe 16 inches of lamp cord run from each fixture to the next. So there's a hole drilled for each one. Aside from this main plug, the first plug has the extension cord wired to it. But then each subsequent one has a cord in and a cord out. So there's 4 little things. So you have to cut all these lengths of wire, strip both ends. So you're wiring 4 points to each fixture. That's 24 fixtures. So it took a little while. It took a little longer than I thought it would. I did it over a couple of days. Not working like the full day on it, and I just took some electrical tape to kind of keep the wire in check and wrapped around a couple times. I put this cross beam on, and I ordered one of these baby pin mounts, which got a little ball mount so you can angle it, which I figured would be a nice addition. That was not in the tutorial. Shutter fly. So this is my tungsten ring light. And then hopefully these bulbs will also last a while and be fairly durable, because I think the bulb themselves are plastic and not glass. A little more durable maybe. But so far, I've tried to leave it running to make sure it's not like burning a hole somewhere from my shoddy electricianmanship. But yeah, this is a cool light. You can do a lot of different things with it. It is big. I've got a nice big Forerunner that this can fit into fairly easily, but that might be a concern for some people. But excited to use this thing and try to get some more dramatic setups with it. But it's only been built for a day. I just finished it yesterday, so a lot of me making this video is just being proud of having built my own light. That's a first for me. That was fun, and it kind of makes you think about what goes into it a little more, makes you appreciate it a little more. Notably, it cost me about $200. The video says it's closer to 100. These LED bulbs are a little more, and then I had to buy that pin bracket on the back, which was a little more. I also broke a couple of these fixtures because I got cheap plastic ones rather than porcelain ones. So when I screwed the screws into the board, if you screw it too tight, it cracks plastics. I lost about 3 of those in the process. But anyway, point is, if you're curious about things, go out and try. You know, if you see a little thing, how to make your own light, why don't you try making your own light? And then it'll force you to want to use it because you put all this effort into making it, and it's like, all right, now I better go light something because I spent $200 in 3 days making my own light that I'm very proud of. And I need to prove there was a reason behind doing it. So yeah, that's just an overview of the lights I'm using right now. I'm just kind of on a light thing right now. Got these 2 new lights this year, or 3 if you include the one I made this week. You know, the point of me prefacing this with my history of lights is all to say that, like, you have to start somewhere, and it's always a journey, and you're going somewhere. And, like, you know, it's so easy now with the internet to just measure everything right next to each other and just look at numbers and try to, you know, everybody, I feel like, even I fall into this trap, you're always trying to, like, list out your project and your budget and, like, okay, I've got $500 and I want a new follow focus, a new lens, a new light, a new whatever, you know, like, and it just, like it's so easy to get trapped in that world just thinking about all this crap. I do it before productions. Before we made Clowns and Robbers, I kind of put together a budget and was thinking about what I needed gear-wise, and I was going to buy a drone. That's when I got the Inspire 1, which, if you saw my last drone videos, like, I think was a pretty poor purchase at the time, just compared to what's on the market now, which, again, bird in the hand, whatever. You know, it's almost every time I've geared up for production, even for Getting Outer Space, which was our first feature 10 years ago. I bought a bunch of stuff before that too, thinking I need all these things to do what I want to do. And the reality is, you don't need that much. I have a lot now because I've been doing it for a long time. And you slowly accumulate stuff, and your interests and your knowledge evolve. And as somebody that's filming something either professionally or personally, you know, several times a week. And if I'm not filming something, then I'm editing that footage. I'm constantly working with footage and shooting things and working with different people and different clients and different expectations and different creative processes, and some things that I enjoy doing, some things I don't enjoy doing. But all that exercising, and you just realize you don't need a lot of stuff to make something happen. It really does come down to the idea, and sometimes the less stuff you have, the more it allows you to focus on that idea. It's weird, I don't remember this so much with Paranormals. I think that's because we had more people working on it, but Clowns and Robbers and Getting Outer Space were both projects where I kind of geared up with a lot of stuff at the beginning, thinking we needed all this to get better and look like a more professional project. And then by the end of production, I'm using the bare minimum of all that gear. It's all about just getting through it and being as light on your feet as possible and getting it done, because all this other weight is on top of you. And, you know, the last thing you need is to worry about, you know, an external monitor and a follow focus, when you really just got to reach in there and grab this shot real quick, you know. And again, depends on the style of filmmaking you're doing, depends on the amount of money you're working with. But I've always been kind of a DIY filmmaker, always been trying to do more jobs than I should do by myself. Again, I'm on like a lighting thing right now, but I'm also the camera operator, the editor, right? You know, often the sound person. It's all these other things. You're all these little levels. They're always a little out of balance with each other, and you're trying to go over here and work on this one to bring it up to the par with this one, so that you're always like bringing your average up. I guess at the end of the day, just work with what you have, but don't let the gear or the fact that the camera you're working with doesn't have internal sensor stabilization, because guess what? No cameras did 5 years ago. You work with what you have at the time, and the times are always going to be changing, and what's standard practice at any given time is going to evolve with technology. But don't let the technology define what you're doing. I say that as somebody who's fairly obsessed with technology. I've always been a techie kind of person, and it bleeds over into my process a lot, and often probably too much. So I'm speaking from practical experiences. I've done that, made that mistake over and over again. That being said, the fact that I do it for a living and I make money does allow me to keep playing with toys and try new things. So that's all I'm trying to share with these gear videos, is just kind of a snapshot of what I'm doing at that particular moment in time. This is what my lens kit is today. This is what my light kit is today. This is the kind of stuff I'm making today. And tomorrow it might be different, because I'm going to be evolving and changing. Point is, things are always changing. Technology's changing. You're changing, hopefully. Work with what you have and try to focus on making compelling content. This video may not be that compelling, but I have a rainy day today on a Sunday afternoon. I have some new gear. I'm very proud of this light that I built, even though the instructions were laid out very plainly for me. So just try to go out and experiment, and it feels good to try things. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want, or you don't have to. I'm not going to make you.